990, Holy Ghost filled, you will sing Ganikate. I live the high life cause I'm heavenly minded. Hold up, I'm a 90s baby. So really, you made me walk up to you and you don't subscribe to the channel? Make sure you hit the subscribe button, like the video and share it with someone. I know you will. Righteous like so wicked, righteous like no wicked. You righteous like so wicked, righteous like no.
So as you may be aware, the Constitutional Court of South Africa threw away the appeal case by the Lungu family in the Constitutional Court. They skipped a process of the Supreme Court. They went direct to the Constitutional Court, to which they are reverted back to the Supreme Court if they wish to continue the case, simply stating to say they were not supposed to appeal direct to the Constitutional Court. So their court case was thrown out, but they still have the option of either going back to the Supreme Court and go through the process, then go back to the Constitutional Court or that process. But as things stand, it's been confirmed by the Lungu family themselves that the Zambian government, through the Attorney General and now the official spokesperson of the government with regard to this particular case, Secretary to the Cabinet, Mr. Patrick Kangwa, have reached out to the Lungu family so that they can have an outside court settlement. So we wait and see how that plays out, which was earlier announced by President Hakainde Hichilema, simply saying he has sent a new delegation to try to reach an amicable end to this impasse that has been going on now since June. This is now August. He also engaged the Zimbabwean government. As you may be aware, it seems like the Zimbabwean government still have a good relationship with former President Edgar Chagwa-Lungu's family, and they seem to have some leverage that they can use to renegotiate their terms so that they come to an agreement which will enable the repatriation of the remains of Edgar Chagwa-Lungu back to Zambia so that he can be accorded the state funeral. So that's where the negotiations are. If an agreement is reached, I'm pretty sure by Monday next week we should have a clear sign. But from the look of things, seems things are going well. And as you can see, Real Times had reported to say, dead end. Edgar Chagwa-Lungu appeal thrown out of the South African Constitutional Court. Government of the Republic of Zambia welcomes the verdict. So that was a statement that came from Secretary to the Cabinet, simply saying they have welcomed the verdict. But now negotiations are ongoing between the government and the Lungu family. And the South African government also spoke. So this was posted by the UPND with the video attached. And they say the South African Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Ronald Lamola, says Pretoria remains hopeful that the late Zambia's 60th Republican President Edgar Chagwa-Lungu will be buried home in Zambia. So simply saying it is hopeful that will be a situation, an agreement is going to be reached between the two parties. South Africa honestly would love this chapter to be closed. They are caught between the rock and the hard place, if you ask me. They would rather not be involved in this, but I mean, Zambia had contributed greatly to the liberation struggle and for them to get their independence. And it was done with no strings attached. Zambia never expected anything. So this is one way that they are only paying out. And it was not even planned. It's circumstances beyond everybody's side's control. But in reality, they would rather not be involved. But it's because of they're indebted to Zambia. That's what I'm trying to drive at. They're indebted to Zambia. We never called on any favors since this. So they want to maintain a good relationship with the government. And then again, they don't want to be seen more like kicking out the former president Edgar Chagwa-Lungu's family, like the way we kept the ANC president then, when Mandela was arrested. There was it's named after an airport in South Africa. I've just forgotten his name, but he's got a house in Charleston. So it's that they feel. And then Chief Etali says we're talking about the dead end of Edgar Chagwa-Lungu case. Makebi's wild goose chase with the arrogance a bit of government being responsible. So Chief Etali is simply saying this case is a dead end, and the Lungu family is simply going back in circles, back and forth. The reality is that the South African government would rather have nothing to do with it, but they are compelled to be the referee between the government of the Republic of Zambia and also the Lungu family. He went further and doubled down. Shifetari says the Lungu family should take the pretty much like the only branch that is being offered by the Zambian government for them to renegotiate and take it seriously, because the court case does not really have any merit to it for them to be so arrogant and overconfident to think they will stand a chance to win it if it goes back to the Constitutional Court, or even worse, or within the Supreme Court. So that's Shifitayari doubling down on that. Oh yeah, and then there's a video of GBM that that is circulating right now. Let me see if I can find it so that I play you. I don't know. Most of these videos were captured during the time that a good section of the Patriotic Front had traveled to South Africa during that the day when Edgar Shagalungu was supposed to be buried, and most of them had traveled. So that's when this video was taken. But this is when it's making rounds. I do not know why they've decided to publicize it now. Maybe it's one way of seeking public sympathy or of some sort. But yeah, so this was the time that GBM was interacting with former First Lady Esther Lungu, and then he was overwhelmed with emotion, according to the caption that was put up by the person that had put up this video. So there you see GBM in the center, and then obviously as he was interacting with Esther Lungu, the emotions overcoming, but then he had to break down and people had to pick him up. So that video has just circulated because earlier on it was just pictures of this interaction that were shared. But since then, the video has been put out. It could be one way of still trying to make people realize that this is still a funeral. It's not just a political battle or a court battle that is ongoing. The reality is there are emotions involved and people that were actually connected to Edgar Shagalungu and felt him as a friend. So that's the situation there when that video has been circulated recently of Geoffrey Waliamwamba interacting with Esther Lungu from South Africa there. So that's what's going on. And then according to the Daily Nation, they put up this headline simply saying Edgar Shagalungu accepted defeat family. In spite of pressure from his colleagues to petition the outcome of the 2021 elections, on account of violence and irregularities, President Lungu graciously accepted defeat for the greater good of the country. So they double down on that point, simply saying, hey, Lungu would have opted out to fight that battle in 2021 pretty much. But in the reality is that if the Lungu had not accepted Hichilema winning those elections, the country would have gone to war without a doubt. The 2021 elections were very heated. They were equivalent to what the 2011 elections were when Michael Sata became president. Definitely. So that's one thing that you should credit Zambians for, is that in as much as people would disagree, when it comes down to it, those that are held in responsibilities, they step out and move aside. Because the reality is that if Edgar Shagalungu did not accept those 2021 elections that Hakainde Hichilema had won, the country would definitely have gone to war. Same thing if Bia Banda did not accept that Michael Sata had won in 2011, the country would have definitely gone to war. So that's one thing that you should credit our leaders for. In as much as they've got their flaws, when it really comes down to it, they might not like the decision, they accept the reality on the ground, and that which is the Zambians have spoken through the ballot and accept the verdict. So in as much as they're saying that Edgar Shagalungu accepted defeat, there's a precedent that has been set in Zambia. We will not allow an illegality to mess up the peace that we've been enjoying for a long period of time. So obviously they're using that as leverage to say he could have opted otherwise, but definitely the country would have got messed up. And he would have still left the presidency, but under different circumstances. So it's just better that he did that. And then obviously Chifatari shared the same video of the Minister of International Relations of South Africa simply stating they would rather Edgar Shagalungu be buried in Zambia, but they will allow the entire process to play out. But it seems like the negotiations between the family and the government of Zambia are going on well. Let's just wait and see how that plays out eventually. On the other hand, unity is not visible, never tells United Party for National Development, UPND, ensure every Zambian feels that this government is for all provinces. So that's a headline that is coming from the Daily Revelation attributed to Nevers Mumba, who's the MMD president, and is part of the UPND alliance. I think they signed an alliance agreement with the UPND. If not early this year, it must have been late last year. I think it was early this year, right before Edgar Shakalungu died. Somewhere there was a meeting between Nevas Mumba and Hakainde Hichilema, and pretty much the political secretary generals of the MMD and the UPND coming into that agreement. So I do not know if that statement is being made for him to look neutral, but obviously the PF have got on that bandwagon and put up the article. So they obviously spice it out, the statement. So according to them, each of them has failed to unite the country. That's the tagline that the Patriotic Front is going with. So unity is not visible. Nevas Mumba tells UPND, ensure every Zambian feels that this government is for all provinces. So obviously attributing it to that area headline that was carried by that newspaper that I showed you earlier on, and then they spice out the article to push their own narrative there. But pretty much seems like that statement is being attributed to Nevas Mumba. I do not know how the UPND is going to receive that, considering it's part of the alliance. It might be a strategy for him to look neutral, like he's able to critique the government, but that one is a little bit too delicate. Let's wait and see how that plays out. What is voodoo trial? There's this conversation that has been going to say. Recently, President Hakainde Hichilema has been saying he does not believe in witchcraft, and pretty much life happens as it is. The only ultimate authority that we have is God above, our creator. So any of these witchcraft situations, he does not believe in that, in as much as he's an African. But the Patriotic Front now are doubling down to say, how come if you do not believe in that? There are those two witch doctors that were arrested, that were attributed to, what's his name, JJ Banda's elder brother, to say they were hired to come and do something to the presidents. I think their court case is still ongoing. So the Patriotic Front is simply asking to say, hey, if you don't believe in it, then how come those people are being charged under that? To which Emmanuel Mumba doubled down. He says he is now defending himself everywhere against the practice of occult and witchcraft. That's obviously the agenda that the PF is trying to push, to say, why is it all of a sudden that the president is talking about witchcraft and against the occult? Is it a strategy to defend himself there? The Patriotic Front put up that article with the news headline of the voodoo trial of those two witch doctors involved in the JJ Banda situation. And they say President Hichilema's witchcraft denial. Obviously, they put up an article there trying to push their agenda. On the other hand, Winter's statement on Tonse presidential candidate is his personal wish. As you remember, given Winter made the statement, it should have been on Sunday or Monday, just a couple of days ago, where he put his foot down, simply saying, anyone that wants to be part of the Tonse Alliance and wants to contend as president has to be under the Patriotic Front, meaning everyone that joins that alliance has to fall under. And then to which Sean Tembo simply says that is his personal wish and not the reality. Let's wait and see how that alliance plays out. And then you further on put up this picture of his wife cooking for him. That's Sean Tembo there, and that's the wife that you see cooking for him. He says, just watching the presidential food being cooked by the presidential food anyway to Itonse. The future is Sean Tembo. So he's simply saying the food is cooking the food there. Obviously, people in the comment section just laughing at it. You are president, so they say buffet of for a presidential food. If the tag Sean Tembo there, so simply saying as his wife cooks for him. Sean Tembo. On the other hand, News Diggers carries this headline. They booed the member of parliament, not UPND. Rejecting Mulenga does not reflect what will happen next year, Mwetwa. So that's government responding. As you may remember, over the weekend, President Hakainde Hichilema was on the Copper Belt, and then Minister of the Copper Belt should be Elisha Matambo asked the question. He was presenting the presidential entourage, and part of the members of parliament that was presented then was booed by the general public. They are saying we don't even know that member of parliament, and that was his area. So now the PF has been pushing the agenda to say it's not just the member of parliament that has been pushed out. It's including the UPND and President Hakainde Hichilema. And that's the rebuttal that is coming from Cornelius Mweta simply saying, no, it's the MP that has been rejected, not the UPND. Obviously, that battle going back and forth. But it did not look good for that MP. Definitely, it's not going to be adopted going into 2026. He is very much aware. He might have as well just enjoy the gratuity that is likely to get from Parliament. But being adopted under the UPND ticket, it's a loss. That was an embarrassment on the president, and the SG was also there. So now, Jonas is simply clarifying that. So now that booing was for that member of parliament, not for the UPND. News diggers say, vote for Haka in the HM if you want your problems to continue reducing. That's Mumbu there, Jack Mumbu, simply saying, no, Zambia's situation is better off now under UPND as opposed to what it was under the Patriotic Front. Mass newspaper says it's criminal issuance of unusable national registration cards in Northern must be investigated, says Changala. So there's that scandal that has been going. Say there's a section being issued with national registration cards that are illegal, and so that needs an investigation. So that's the news, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we stand as things stand.